Alright guys, welcome back to the Liberation Room. Today I'm going to bring y'all some Call of Duty Warzone content. I'm going to be bringing y'all the class that I've been running lately. It's slightly off meta, but still within that bracket. There's a few guns within this game, unfortunately with the way it's made, especially with skill-based matchmaking, with the time the game's been out, you've got a lot of players that have gotten extremely good at the game. So much so to the point where if you're not running a certain set of guns, you're going to realize that you're behind the curve. And it might not necessarily be your skill level. It might be just what guns you're using. Like, unfortunately, I think I got some that I was playing around with to get gold. The Odin. You can't run it in Warzone. As far as multiplayer, and that's what I had this for, was back when multiplayer and Warzone had the same classes. As far as like multiplayer, if you're trying to play around with the Odin to like get gold or some stuff like that, it's understandable. But as far as playing Warzone, you have to run the meta or it's not going to work out. Now, some of you say, well, some of the more meta weapons, I can't really control the recoil that well. Okay, well, M13 is one of the best weapons to shoot if you have a hard time controlling recoil. If when you shoot and your rounds are all over the place, the M13 is going to be your best friend. Second from that, I would probably say the Kilo. If you're pretty decent at controlling it, I would say run Kilo every day. But I've been playing around with this class, and I'm really loving it, so I'm going to run through y'all what I'm running. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is the M13 class that I'm currently running. I'll kind of give y'all a 360 of it here first. Before we get into all the different ins and outs of it. So here's just the base of it. Monolithic suppressor. With Warzone, you have to run a suppressor. It hinders your teammates if you're not running a suppressor because it shows you up as a red dot. Use the monolithic suppressor because with the monolithic, it's also going to give you damage range increase. That way when you're hitting those far shots in the open areas, which there are a good bit of within Verdansk, the monolithic suppressor is your friend. Moving on to the barrel. They have the Mini, the Cyclone, and the Marksman. The Tempest Marksman is going to give you the same things that the 26.4 Archangel did on the Growl. I got another video on a good Growl loadout with Sniper if you want to check that out. But the Tempest Marksman is going to give you damage range increase, bullet velocity increase, which means your bullets get in there quicker, and recoil control. This is the first thing we're going to be putting on this gun to make this gun a point-and-shoot laser. Next, we're looking at the sight. Now, here's where I'm going to tell y'all if you're having trouble with recoil to do something different. Me personally, I love the PBX Holo 7 sight. The main reason for that is because... I don't know why, but I did the stupid grind to get the blue dot reticle. If you want to go through the grind, the blue dot is amazing because the reason the blue dot's good is because not much stuff in Verdansk, including character skins, buildings, stuff like that, are blue. So it's a very finicky meta, but it is one. However, if you're having trouble with recoil, the sight to use, let me find it. VOK 3.0 optic. The reason for this, obviously, it gives you some zoom, and it does have a very clear sight picture. See if I can pull that up. Well, I'll have to change. Give me 1 second. The main reason is because if you run that weapon with the VOK 3.0 optic, you can see the red dot there. There is a hidden recoil control bonus that it gives the gun. It's obviously not stated here, but it is there. True game data. I forget the name of it. I'll drop a link to them in the description. They go into very in-depth breakdowns on what guns are capable of what with what attachments. And they have shown that the VOK optic does have a hidden recoil control. So if you're having trouble with recoil on your weapons, please run the VOK 3.0 optic. It'll do you well. I'm going to change this back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the foregrip. I did a video a while back on the best foregrip Looking back, I wish I had been explained that it's going to be specific to that weapon. So the more I've played the game, the more I've started to realize that obviously it is obvious. Different foregrips are going to do different things for different weapons. So with the M13, I've been running the Merc foregrip. Now, the Ranger foregrip is good. It does increase range a little bit more. You're going to lose a little bit of mobility and a little bit of accuracy. But this weapon is going to give, this Merc foregrip is going to give you recoil control and hipfire accuracy. I've played around with it a little bit. You could also use the Ranger foregrip. Honestly, for that, it's kind of up to you. If you never really play much and you kind of want to feel a middle ground, the Commando foregrip is probably the way to go. But I would choose between Merc and Ranger. Honestly, with foregrip, it's going to be a lot of self-analysis. So make a few loadouts. Make 5 M13 loadouts and put a different foregrip on each one. Put the Operator, the Ranger, the Tactical, the Commando, the Merc. Put them all on a loadout, jump into a game of Plunder, and just get a feel for them. Every time you die, just change it out, throw a grenade on yourself, change it out, and see which one you like. The last thing we're going to be looking at, now again, this is under the assumption that you're having trouble with recoil control. Get 60 round mags. A couple reasons for this. One, it's more rounds. If you're having trouble hitting your shots, you're going to need as many rounds as you can. Again, a lot of people are going to, or some people are going to say go to the 300 blackout 30 rounds. I don't suggest that on someone who's having trouble with recoil, because you need as many rounds as possible so you can hit those shots over a period of time. And even the pros, even people that are really good, they want that, because reloading is just something that's a pain, because you might have to switch over to your MP5, and there you are switching behind cover, and you're being a detriment to your team at that point. So 60 round mags, or you could go for 50 if you want to keep a little bit of mobility. All right, so that's it for the M13. So with your secondary, I'm going to recommend using the MP5. And we're going to jump into the attachments for that. The first one's going to be the monolithic integral suppressor. Once again, it's giving us that bullet velocity increase, which means our bullets are going to get to the target quicker, right? So this, a lot of people talk about the subsonic integral. No enemy skulls, no visible tracers. That doesn't really matter much to me. I care more about bullet velocity, because we're inside of a tight place. I want my bullets hitting them quick, because their bullets are probably hitting me pretty quick. Moving around the top, let's see, go over to the FTAC Collapsible. That's the one I'm going to recommend, because it increases your movement speed and ADS speed. It's going to decrease your recoil control a little bit. It's going to decrease your aiming stability. As far as aiming stability, you're not going to be ADSing this gun much. You're going to be in tight stairways and things like that, and the hip fire is pretty good on this setup. So you're going to be depending on that a good bit. So FTAC Collapsible is the way to go. That way you're getting able to move around quickly within buildings. Next is going to be the 45 round mags. That's going to be the same reason as before. More rounds, more better. 45 round mags. They are the best way to go. Okay, with this next one, there's a little bit of flexibility here. I've been running stippled grip tape, which increases your ADS speed and increases your sprint to fire speed. That's because I want to be quick within a building. Because when you're running within buildings, they're probably running an AR. They might be running an AR sniper class. You're going to beat them on that AR. And then because you're running the monolithic integral, your bullets are going to hit them quicker, right? So stippled grip tape. Another option, which I have ran in the past, is the TAC laser. And that increases aim walking steadiness, aiming stability, and ADS speed. The reason I don't like it is because if you are ADSing a door, because, let's say you got into a gunfight in a hallway, you dipped off in a room, you know they're coming after you, so you turn and you just ADS, aim down sight that door, they can see your laser. Now, obviously, you can take that off of there and still get the shots on, but that's why I'd recommend the TAC laser. So next things we're going to talk about is the perk selections. These aren't going to be specific to you because you're having issues with recoil control. There's just going to be different ways and pretty much metas you have to run in the game. So for perk 1, I'm going to recommend EOD. Cold-blooded used to be important when, I think that was like Season 3, when everyone was wearing thermal optics. But now it's not as important, but people are sitting there throwing Simtex and throwing C4s a lot more. So I'd recommend EOD as your perk 1. Obviously, for your loadout number 1, we're going to run Overkill. That way we can use the M13 and MP5. We'll talk about your secondary loadout for your second one later. Let's see. That's it for that one. And you're going to run Ghost on your second one. We'll get to that in a second. Perk 3, you're going to be running Amped. Reason for that is so you can swap weapons really quick. Because if we're having trouble with recoil, we need as much time as we can to swap weapons and get our sights on so we can lay rounds down. Another option you could do would be shrapnel, but personal preference, I just really prefer Amped. Shrapnel just gives you another piece of lethal, and explosive damage delays enemy health regen, but that's under the assumption that you're sitting there slinging grenades 24/7. So I'd recommend Amped for your third perk. As far as your lethal and tactical, for your lethal, I've been running Simtex since the C4, since they kicked on it and decreased the throw distance. It's not as viable as it used to be. Also, I don't know what it is, I'm terrible at throwing C4s. Got a guy I play with, he's really good at throwing C4s, or back when they were throwable, really. But more dependable for me, Simtex. And also, as your tactical, you might have seen that changed earlier. Me and my friends were playing around and we were all running stuns. Stuns are okay, but if you're looking for a class that's a little more recoil dependent, I'm assuming that you maybe haven't been playing as long and aren't as comfortable with the game or the weapons. So go ahead and try to run the heartbeat sensor. That way, at least maybe you get a heads up on someone in your area. Alright, so we're taking a look at what I call M13 MP5 1. So the reason you want to have two loadouts that are pretty much the same, and we'll get into the differences, is because you need to get your Ghost perk. However, perk takes up this Overkill. The Ghost and Overkill share a slot, so you can't have both at the same time. So running Overkill on the first loadout gets you both of your weapons, and then when you pick up your Ghost later, you still have both of your weapons, because this one's going to fall on the ground, and you're going to have this one in your hand, get the RPG in your hand, and switch over and just pick this up off the ground. Now you've got Overkill and Ghost at the same time. That's the reason you see a lot of people running two loadouts. That's why everybody's trying to get two loadouts, because they want their Overkill with their Ghost. So the only difference you're going to have, this is the exact same gun. Now, I do one thing that's a color difference. So for my M13 MP5 1, I run the gold M13. So when I pick up my first one, now if me and my team are running around and we're saying, have we picked up Ghost yet? Which you would think picking up a loadout becomes like a big thing, but you will forget, and your team will sit there and say, do we have Ghost yet? Well, if you run two different colors, and just remember the colors. So for me, I know that gold means we don't have Ghost yet. But once I pick up my second one, it goes to this gun, which I really like more, the design, the look of it. When I get the Sandblaster color scheme on my gun, I know that I have Ghost. So that just makes it where you don't have to sit there and think about it, so you can get back to the game. You can just look at your gun and say, oh, Sandblaster, I have my Ghost, keep moving. Everything's exactly the same about the gun. You're not trying to change anything. Throw whatever secondary you want in here. If you wanted, you could even make it like something that you actually like to run as a secondary. I just throw something in there because I'm never going to use it. So, like I said, the only thing you're going to change here is going to your perks. This one's the same. This one's the same. You're just changing this one from Overkill to Ghost. And that gives you two loadouts so that you can be ready. So what we're going to do next is I've set up a private lobby with one other bot. I want to show y'all how much of a laser the M13 can be and how quick the weapon swap works when you're using the amped perk here. Well, up here. The amped perk here. And then I'll show you this loadout here, which is just shrapnel, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison of how quickly you can change. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Once I see him from a distance, I'm gonna put 0
Team
mouse
deathmatch. Jackals, let's hunt.
That was 0 mouse input on my weapon. There we go. Yeah, that was 60 rounds with some mouse input. Let's go check that out. So yeah, that was 60 right here with mouse input. Take a look at that again. That was 60 rounds there with mouse input. So that's showing you how much of a laser this loadout can really be. Alright, so we'll try to show, see if paints are still the same, relatively. That's fitting that it's the same thing. Let's get to the far end here. See how that. I can't do that. That's interesting. So I'm gonna try to beam that guy. I kinda wanna kill him first to get him away from me.
Low ammo!
Alright, so I'm gonna try to beam my painting over there. That is with some mouse input. See how that did? Look at that. That's with a little bit of mouse input. I'm gonna try to show you all the hip fire on this weapon as well. Let me see if I can get a shot on him. There he is. So you can see that. That was pretty much no input from me. I'll do 0 input right here. So that's 0 mouse input at this range. And that's me putting in some mouse input there. Alright, so the next thing we're going to go over is the weapon swap speed. So, showing you right here, this is with the amped perk. So let's take a look. And then we'll show you without. You see it's a good bit slower without the amped perk, which is going to hurt you in the long run. So we'll actually do time from ADS shooting to ADS shooting. So here we go. We're going to go to time from here. Switch weapons. So that's how fast that is. We're going to switch back. I'm going to do that again. So this is with amped.
Less than a minute.
Alright, well I hope you guys learned something, and maybe if you're struggling with Recoil, you found another class that you could try out in Warzone. Maybe help out your friends, and hopefully get you a few more wins. If you want to see any other classes that could help you out, let me know. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.